Thank you for coming to WeGoAir. My name is Keith Allen Sharp, and we're here to breathe today. And I wanted to talk about, before we do some exercises, I wanted to go over a little bit about where I see the channel going. I've been trying to make this video for a few days. I honestly don't remember. There might be pieces and portions of it already said, but I wanted to put it together where I wanted people to know what I'm doing here, because I'm really getting some good feedback. And even though I don't have any, I just don't have very many videos. This channel's gonna go like crazy once we get started here. And I'm getting good feedback, because what we're doing is more than just breathing. It's the most incredible thing. I'm over 60 years old. I spent my entire life, living a normal life. I got married, raised a family, bought a house, had a small business for 20 years. It was good. And and then I was diagnosed with this terrible disease, COPD. And it's turned out to be, it's like COVID was. COVID was such an assault on our society. It was just an assault on everyone's minds. It was an assault on our bodies. It was just the largest, it was the most terrible thing that had happened in 100 years around the world. But I'm thankful for it, because it allowed me to see that we're all made in God's image. And really, even though intellectually I knew that before, and I accepted it because I like the Bible. I like it. And I believe generally what's in the Bible. And it says in the Bible, Genesis 1:26, let us make man in our image. And I believed it. Trouble is, I didn't really believe it. I said I believed it. I assented to it. I agreed to go along with it. I didn't trust it, because I believed that, and I think that's what goes on with everybody, I believed God was out there in the wild blue yonder somewhere. And that's not at all what happens. So when the COVID came, and I was one of the people, I have a physical or psychological, I have a psychological problem, an issue. I just cannot deal with having my face covered. I just can't do it. I never have. When I was a little child, we'd go trick-or-treating, and I'd be the one without a costume, because I just can't do that. And I became a contractor, and I would do insulation, and I was a drywall contractor specifically. So I was in insulation, and I was in all these different kinds of chemicals, and continually sanding toxic metals and things, and I would spray paint without a mask, and I used chemicals and solvents, and I just didn't believe it, and I was never hurt, so why worry about it, Well, so the years went on, and I began to slow down, and I just thought I was getting older, and I just but it began to speed up, and so anyway, it got to where it was just too hard. So the idea was, what we did was we closed down the business, and we moved, and my intentions were, at the time, I was going to continue to do small jobs, and since it's so much cheaper to live here than it was where we were, I just didn't anticipate any real difficulty. And once I got here, I caught the COVID, and I didn't know. And it turned to pneumonia. It turned into not only a little bit of pneumonia, but anyway, I got to a point where after a while. I knew I was beginning to see the world and the people in the world. I was in a completely altered state. I was on the way out. So I went to the hospital. I went to the emergency room. Well, they checked me into the hospital immediately, and I was there for several weeks. And I still didn't, at that point, believe that the COVID had got me. I just didn't believe it. I just didn't know. They told me it was pneumonia. And anyway, when they finally got me out, they prescribed me with COPD, and I became full-time oxygen, and that was it. And they kind of let me linger out there in limbo, and I still kept deteriorating. And it got to the point where it was hard for me to go from one room to the next, to make a small meal, to go to the bathroom, to change clothes, to shower, to go to the store became an impossible chore. The first time when we went to Sam's Club, I had been using the carts, the little electric carts that drive around. They were all taken that day. And the first day that happened, I cried. I stayed out in the car. And I mean, it was soul crushing. And so anyway, long story short, let's bring it up to the relatively recent past. I finally got some treatment through, they call it pulmonary rehabilitation. And it was wonderful. They gave me physical therapy. They got me into doing some regular exercise, which we're going to do some exercises, not more than just breathing at some point. We're going to do some exercises on the channel. So they had me doing some regular exercising. They taught me to breathe, how to track my breath, how to actually breathe. My whole life, I was very athletic when I was younger, and they taught us to breathe up here. Come to find out that is the wrong place for people to breathe if you have COPD. You want to breathe in your gut. Because it's largely a lot less of it used. You've destroyed your upper part, which is what happened to me. I destroyed all of that. I had to develop this lower lung area. I had to train my breathing to go into that lower lung area. That's what the pursed lips are all about. And so I learned to breathe. I learned more. Within a matter of weeks, I became so much better. I learned that life wasn't over. I learned that I can get my life back, that I can manage a COPD, that I can get my life back. And I wanted to spread the good news that, life is not over with COPD. And all the people that, there are, what did I read? There are 1.5 million people in the United States with COPD, and I don't know how accurate that is, but I think that's pretty accurate. Are diagnosed every year with it. And I believe that. And I know from my own experience, 1.5 million people think their life is over until they get some help. And I didn't get the help I got was from my family. They endured my pain. They took care of me when I needed to be taken care of. So I'm very thankful for that. And now I want to spread it because people need to know it's not over. I found a worthwhile thing. It's my life experience. It's like my whole life I've been turned. It has been drawn, aimed to this particular point in time. I can breathe. I understand my breath's relationship to my existence. I understand that I'm not these random thoughts that run across this. I mean, this is just stuff that it's litter blowing around in the streets of your mind. You're standing on a street corner and you're watching this stuff go by. You don't have to stop and pick up every gum wrapper. Just let it go. Dwell on what's important. And if you realize that, when you realize that our Creator made us in His image, and His name in Exodus 3:14 is Pi, by the way. But anyway, His name is I Am. He's I Am. I Am. I Am is in me. I Am controls my thoughts. I Am controls my breathing. I am united with my Creator. All my prayers are answered. And it's the most beautiful thing. And I want to pass this on to anyone who will listen. I want you to come and breathe with me. We're going to get this channel growing big, because this has the potential to heal everyone, not just of COPD, but people who have difficulty in relating to others with, after the COVID thing, trust in society was just obliterated. No one trusts anyone to do anything anymore. It's hard just to go to a restaurant, and you're looked at differently because everybody's afraid you're going to dine and dash. Yeah, that's what they call it. You're going to dine and dash, or you can't even make a deal with somebody in business anymore because you're just not trustworthy, because we all learned how trustworthy everyone is, because the TV is continually lying, everything online is continually lying. Our politicians lie, your companies lie, everybody's lying. So everybody lies so easily, but when in reality, everyone is in defense. They're in the defensive mode, and they're just trying to get along in life, because we all want what for the next generations. I have a granddaughter. I want her to inherit a world that's better than the one that I inherited, and I know I'm fortunate enough to know my great grandparents. I knew them, and they wanted the same for me. My great grandparents were born without. There were no cars. When they were very young, there were no cars. There was electricity, but it wasn't on every block. There was no radio. There was telegraph. There was telephones. But they wanted to leave the world a better place for me. And I want to leave the world a better place for my descendants. And I know I'm not alone. Everyone wants the same thing. We all want the same thing. And yet we're all fighting with each other all the time, continually. Lock your doors. I remember when no one locked their door. No one locked their door. There was no need. You just went in and out. You had to go to the store. You went to the store. Your neighbors took care of each other. And the funny thing is, I talk to my neighbors. They're still willing to do that, but we don't want to bother our neighbors, because they're our neighbors and they're busy, and they are. We've got to respect each other's time. But point is, at the end of the day, these when we breathe, we control our breathing, we control our thoughts, we're controlling our spirit, and we are in alignment with our Creator. So I'm calling it good for now, and I'm making shorts, YouTube shorts, because I want to start doing live streams. I'm going to do some live streams as soon as I get 50 subscribers. So at that rate, thank you for coming. I look forward to seeing you again. And I had a saying all picked out, and my short-term memory is not like it used to be. I think it went like, from air to prayer, we go air.